What's going on, everyone? I hope you are all well. It's Chalazard here. Today we are going to be taking a journey back in time to when RuneScape, of course we all know RuneScape's been around a very long time and there's been many money making methods, many guides for certain things, and these things have changed over time. What I want to do is explore some of the well-known money makers from all that time ago. So without further ado, let's see what kind of money we can make from very old money making methods to see if they're still viable and see if the content even still exists. So of course, for those of you that have played RuneScape and remember RuneScape back in the day when, you know, when old school RuneScape was a thing, Blue Dragons was one of the main money makers. You know, people used to come here with a rune crossbow, people used to come here with magic, with mind runes and fire strike. Some people used the dragon halberd because it had the reach on it, you know, all these sorts of things. And now we have access to so much more prayers like soul split, even if obviously I haven't needed it for this video, but if you were slightly lower level and you wanted to, we have things like dragon trinkets, sorry, magic note paper. There's so many quality of life improvement things that have happened over time, and I thought I'd visit here to see how much profit we can make per hour doing these old money making methods. I actually think this is quite a cool idea, and I'm really interested to see the results on some of the things that we run through in this video. So I'm going to do half an hour doing each technique that I run through and then breaking down how much you would make per hour, not counting like ridiculous drops. So touch wood, we get a Hazelmere signet ring, that won't go in a GP per hour, but of course that's probably not going to happen. So let's go through this and see just how much money we make, and I'll be back with you soon. Also, for those of you that don't know dragon trinkets, you can get these with oddments. They also come from keys that you can get, and they're also dropping from the current 300 million accounts created event. So yeah, that you can get these fairly easily. Oddments, obviously, you get from every single key that you get. Sometimes you get them in raw, just oddments as a reward from things as well. So you can buy these, and what these can do, it will consume one trinket for each dragon bone or blue dragon hide or any dragon hide from a chromatic dragon, and it will instantly note it and pop it in the inventory. So it saves you all that time from having to go over to the dragons, loot the dragons, and then note the things yourself. So I am using them as it's a quality of life improvement that we've run through. You wouldn't have to use these, and I will count for how much money you could make with and without the dragon trinkets in case you were actually interested in using this method. If you're a slightly lower level, or you just, you know, I don't know, whatever reason you choose, if you try to do it, I will have both sets of information for you. This is such a strange feeling being here. Like, there's absolutely nobody here. It's a complete ghost town. Like, all this content from so long ago would have been like stuff that you do all the time, and now it just doesn't happen. There's nobody here. I've seen the odd person run through and they've been like level 80, level 90. You used to actually have to fight to tag the blue dragon yourself. Like, it was actually difficult to get the blue dragons to yourself. Like, if you came down here and there was nobody here, you were like, jackpot, I'm in. You used to have to make sure you were safe from the baby blue dragons, because unless you were a high enough level, they'd attack you. Dude, this brings back so many memories. So many memories. I hope you guys can like reciprocate how this looks, and if you remember the old technique, comment down below some of these methods. If you remember any of the methods that we go through in this video, do let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to know if you guys are old school players as well. There's a bit of everything in this video, because if you are slightly lower level, or for whatever reason you do want to farm these, then you're going to see some new money making methods or stuff that you don't see on anyone else's channel, because it's really old stuff. People don't normally do this. And of course, for those nostalgic players, we're running through the old methods just to see what they're actually worth now. So as I said, we're only doing half an hour, and then we're going to double the amount of money we make, because I think half an hour is a good estimate, because the things we're doing are going to be consistent money makers. We're not relying on rare drops. In old school RuneScape, you didn't do things as much as you do now just to farm for that big drop. You didn't go and do, for example, hard mode Carabat can drop you a bill weapon. In old school RuneScape, you wanted consistent money makers most of the time back in the day. Of course, old school RuneScape has changed very much now. It's a constantly updated, different version of the game. So I'm talking about back when old school wasn't actually old school, it was current RuneScape. So most of the methods we're going to run through are going to be consistent money makers, but here we are going back to the PVM hub, which of course didn't exist back then either, and let's add up how much money we have made. So we also managed to get blue dragon eggs, but in total for a full hour, so of course I'm going to double what you can see on screen, you would make approximately 2.5 to 3 mil an hour using the dragon trinkets and 1.6 to 2.2 mil an hour without the dragon trinkets. To be honest, considering how easy this method is now, I am really impressed with the amount of money that is. Let's jump into the next method. So next up, of course, we have a method that even the non-old school players will know, which is the Frost Dragons, because of their 100% drop rate of the Frost Dragon Bones, which are currently sitting about 23k each. So every kill is 23k each. Now, of course, this isn't a guide, so I'm not going to go through the requirements. But if you do want a guide to a money-making thing, I'd be more than happy to do that. I've been thinking about doing a really in-depth one from like easy, medium, hard to really hard or whatever. So do let me know if you want to see that. But back to this, the Frost Dragons, of course, are good money anyway, but back in the day, there was a real problem with botting. You know, there was a real problem with botting with Frost Dragons, and unfortunately, the bots did become quite a large problem, but Jagex did get on top of it entirely, and it did level itself out. So even though you will have heard of these as good money makers now, even back then, they were really good money. Back then, the bones were anywhere from 9 to 12k each, and in old school, or what was RuneScape back then, was a lot of money. That was a lot of money, and it was really nice money making. So let's see how much we make doing the Frost Dragons. So we're getting some hard clues, and we're getting some herbs, lore runes, blood runes, but nothing too spectacular. The main thing that you're looking for here are the Frost Dragons, which of course are 100% drop rate, which makes these such nice money. You cannot lose. You are coming here for a 100% drop rate. None of this bossing stuff, none of this rare drop stuff. It's just a consistent money maker. As I said with the blue dragons, in old school RuneScape, people looked for that consistent money. People looked for that more so than they do now. Of course, there's many players that do use consistent money makers, and some of the bosses do drop consistently nice money, but people normally chase that big drop now. And of course, that's completely RNG. So these were really nice money makers back in the day, and let's see if they can prove their worth, what, 15 years later. So we are nearing the end of our half an hour of the Frost Dragons to give us a decent estimate of how much you could make per hour. Again, very happy with what we've got. We managed to get around the 160 odd Frost Dragon Bones, and sitting at 23k each, that's going to be a nice sum. Of course, we've made a little bit of money in the Spring Cleaner, only 80 something k. But let's see how much we've made in total and what you can expect if you use this method. So back at War's Retreat, chucking it all into the price checker, and what you can expect to do from doing Frost Dragons even now, approximately anywhere from 7.5 to 8.5 mil an hour using any combat style. And again, a very nice, easy method. Strongly recommend a ranged combat style so you don't lure too many dragons at once, but again, absolutely awesome. So next up, we have a non-combat method, which is bringing a Beast of Burden, in my case a Pack Yak, and this will vary depending on which Beast of Burden you bring. But people used to run down here, take the agility course straight through, and collect dragon scale dust. But because of quality of life improvements and the new skill dungeoneering, we're going to make use of the mysterious entrance in order to do so. So again, people used to come down and just use this main room, but we're going to make use of things like Surge, as you can see, go into the dungeoneering entrance and go and collect the dragon scale dust. My apologies. If you want to see the best method in order to AoE loot these, again, you couldn't AoE loot back then, so this is another quality of life improvement. Quite a few improvements on this one. You can expect to make approximately anywhere from 20 to 25 runs an hour. So if we say that you get about 24 runs an hour, we're going to completely ignore the GE value because dragon scale dust is a little bit temperamental. So I went ahead and sold a full run, which is 58 dragon scale dust a run. Then you can expect to make anywhere from 1.5 to 2 mil an hour just collecting these dust and selling them on the Grand Exchange. Of course, this is dependent on your Beast of Burden that you bring. So as I'm sure a lot of you would have guessed this as a moneymaker that again was around a lot in the olden days, if you want to call them those, is the Wilderness. The Green Dragons to be specific. Of course, this couldn't have come at a better time with the Wilderness rework being safe for deaths and, you know, things changing, drop table changing, not being able to be PK'd. But of course that also means that because it's safe, the green dragon hides have dropped a lot in value. And of course, nobody's actually doing green dragons because they're not much money. But we've come here anyway because, as I say, it's a way of testing out the old techniques. It's not about finding the best thing or doing guides on everything and all that kind of stuff. It's just to see what sort of money you can get from the old-fashioned tactics of money making. So we stayed here for again another half an hour, and we didn't actually make too much money, but I'll show you that in a second. The wilderness, of course, with the rework does come with some perks, however, that you can get. Obviously the wilderness drop table drops. You can get just a few rare items. You get increased chance with the threat level for some better stuff, I believe, as well. And of course, if you were on Slayer task, you'd have an even higher chance of getting some bits and a wilderness chest at the end. So don't completely rule out this, even though it's probably the lowest money we're going to make out of all the methods that we've gone through. It still isn't completely useless. But if you do get a Slayer task, I probably recommend going for something else in the wilderness as opposed to the green dragons. So of course I ended up running south so I could get safe. I still don't feel entirely safe in the wilderness. It's a good time to point out, guys, that one of the main lures that's still happening, or sort of lure, is when you have any cursed energy on you, which of course was originally farmed in the wilderness. Even if you bring it into the wilderness with you, you can be attacked. You are instantly flagged for PvP if you even carry cursed energy or even click one of the cursed energy things in the wilderness volcano. So if anyone says click this, or if you know that you're going to bring cursed energy in, I don't know why you would, but if you do, please be careful. Do not bring it unless you know that you can be attacked for PvP. Anyway, let's break down the price check for half an hour of green dragons. So there you have it, everyone. I would estimate that from a full hour of doing the green dragons, you can make anywhere from 1.8 mil to 2.2 mil, which isn't bad at all, I would say. And of course it does vary on your luck, but again, it's not bad considering it's very old content. So there you have it, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I thought it would be a good laugh to go through and check some of these older money making methods, and I think that was good fun. Do let me know if you remember any of the other ones that you remember from back in the day. Of course, I'll be very interested to hear what you have to say, and any techniques that I may have missed or ones I wasn't aware of. Of course, I was going to add the Chaos Druids farming the unidentified herbs, but of course unidentified herbs don't exist anymore, and that was primarily most of the value, so I won't be doing that in this video. So do let me know if you like this video in the comments down below. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and I'll see you all in the next video.